Jane Goodall spent decades sitting quietly under African canopies, watching chimpanzees teach her what stress-free living looks like. She taught the world that we don't just protect nature, we belong to it. And sometimes, to heal your mind, all you need is a tree, a breath, and 30 silent minutes. Forest bathing like Jane Goodall. 30 minutes to reset your mind. Have you ever wondered if the concrete beneath your feet is slowly burying the wild root of your mind? What if every light you switch on blinds you to a hush that once spoke, louder than all your inner noise? Do you ever feel that your breath was meant to weave through branches, not buildings? The forests you forgot remember you? They have always kept a place untouched, a hush waiting behind your ribs, somewhere deep inside you. A memory scratches at the walls you built to keep it silent. A memory of wet soil under your nails, wind tangled in your hair, a hush so pure it could drown the static hum that settled in your skull. Jane listened when the world chose to shout. She disappeared into green lungs of the earth and came back breathing truths you've tried so hard to forget. But what if the hush is not gone? What if it only waits for your footsteps to return? They told you healing comes in pills, screens, devices that buzz and blink, and promise to fix the chaos they cause. But what if you could stand still for 30 minutes and remember what your heartbeat sounds like when it's not fighting itself? What if a forest could cleanse the poison you carry in thoughts you never dare to speak? What if Jane left you a trail of whispers under each leaf, waiting for you to kneel and listen? Do you dare to question what you've accepted as survival? Do you feel the pulse under your skin begging for branches, roots, silence thick enough to drown your deadlines? Jane never asked for permission to listen. She vanished into jungles that taught her more about humans than any city ever could. And now you stand at the same threshold. Asphalt behind you, green breath ahead. Which will you trust to hold your mind whole? Stay. Each second you hold this hush is a seed planted where your mind aches most. 30 minutes, one forest, one hush. The secrets Jane carried are buried in shadows and birdsong, in mud and moss, in the hush that knows your name when you forget how to say it. Miss a second, lose the map. Stay and find what they told you no longer exists. Your mind reset. By roots, branch by branch. Roots of silence. The first breath of the forest, the moment you step beneath the canopy. The world you know begins to blur. The incessant hum of machines and screens fades into a distant memory, replaced by a silence so dense it feels almost alive. This silence is not emptiness, but a womb, cradling forgotten truths that pulse beneath your skin like a secret heartbeat. Jane Goodall once described this hush as the language of the wild, a dialogue without words that seeps into your bones, coaxing the mind to unwind from its relentless storm. Can you feel it yet? The pull of roots digging deep, anchoring you to something far older than your worries, your deadlines, your digital chains. This is not mere nature. It is the marrow of your own mind calling you back to life. The branches overhead twist and tangle like the knots in your thoughts, each leaf shimmering with the unspoken stories of centuries. You realize that every breath you take here is a surrender to a force greater than the chaos you carry. A gentle unraveling of the tight coils anxiety has wrapped around your soul. What if the calm you seek is not a place, but a state reached only through the embrace of this living silence? Jane's journeys through the forests taught her that healing is not something to be chased, but something to be received quietly, patiently, like the slow unfurling of a fern in dawn's first light. Do you dare to let go? As you walk, the soil soft beneath your feet, your mind begins to shed the heavy armor of incessant thoughts. The forest breathes with you, a rhythm unbroken by alarms or alerts, grounding you in the present, where past regrets and future fears dissolve like morning mist. You touch the bark of an ancient tree, rough and unwavering, and sense a strength and stillness that defies every frantic impulse you thought necessary to survive. How many times have you run from your own silence, mistaking noise for safety? Here, in this cathedral of green, silence is the sanctuary that your restless mind has craved all along. The air thickens with the scent of earth and leaves. A perfume no city can replicate, intoxicating and raw. It stirs memories buried beneath layers of distraction, of childhood wonder, of wildness unfiltered by expectation or exhaustion. Jane Goodall understood this deeply. Her empathy rooted not just in science, but in feeling the pulse of the planet as if it beat inside her own chest. You begin to see your own heartbeat reflected in the trembling of leaves and the slow dance of shadows. Could it be that the forest knows you better than you know yourself? That it holds the key to a reset not found in therapy rooms or apps, but in the embrace of moss and root? Your thoughts falter under the weight of this realization that every anxious spiral, every sleepless night, is a cry for reconnection with a world that still breathes beneath layers of concrete and glass. Jane's work with chimpanzees was more than study. It was a testament to the intelligence of the natural world and its power to teach us how to heal. What if your mind, too, could learn this language? What if the healing you seek is embedded in the dirt beneath your nails, in the whisper of branches, in the hush that awaits your return? The question lingers, will you answer the call or remain captive to the static? Time slows. The urgency that once pressed into your chest loosens its grip as you sink deeper into this quiet communion. Your mind, usually a riot of demands and distractions, finds pockets of stillness that ripple outward like gentle waves. Jane's reverence for the forest was rooted in her recognition of its patience, its refusal to rush the healing process. Can you allow yourself this same patience? Can you let the forest teach you the art of waiting, of breathing into the spaces where noise once reigned? Each inhalation feels like a small act of rebellion against the tyranny of modern life. The canopy above filters the sunlight into shards of gold that dance on your skin, illuminating dust motes that float like tiny galaxies suspended in air. In this filtered light, you glimpse the paradox of life, fragility and resilience intertwined. A dance of shadows and illumination, much like the turmoil within your own mind. Jane saw the forests not as separate from humanity, but as mirrors, reflecting our deepest fears and hopes. What reflections do you see in this quiet? Are you willing to confront the parts of yourself that the noise once drowned out? The forest waits, silent but unwavering. A bird's call pierces the hush, sharp and clear, startling you into awareness. It is a reminder that this silence is alive, not empty, filled with unseen lives moving in rhythms older than memory. Jane's stories remind us that every creature, every leaf, every breath is part of an intricate web that sustains us all. How often have you forgotten that you too are woven into this tapestry? That healing your mind requires more than solitude. It demands reconnection to the wild pulse that still beats beneath the surface of your busy life. The question pulses, persistent and unyielding. You pause by a stream, watching the water ripple over stones worn smooth by time. The flow reminds you that healing is not linear but cyclical, a journey of returns and departures. Jane embraced this rhythm in her work, understanding that patience and presence are the greatest gifts we can offer ourselves and the earth. What would it mean for your mind to flow freely, unencumbered by the dam of fear and doubt? Can you surrender to the current, trusting that the forest will carry you back to peace? The answer remains just out of reach, teasing and tantalizing as you prepare to leave. The forest does not let go easily. The hush you carry back is heavier than the weight of your fears. It is a promise, a vow, a seed planted deep within your soul. Jane Goodall's footsteps echo in this moment, guiding you towards a truth that feels both ancient and urgent. That healing your mind and honoring the earth are not separate acts, but one breath, one rhythm, one life. Will you walk this path? Or will the silence fall away like leaves in the wind, lost to the noise once more? Chose beneath the canopy, the mind's hidden dialogue every step. Deeper into the forest feels like peeling away a layer of yourself you never knew was heavy burdens you carried silently. Inherited from a world that prizes speed over stillness, Jane Goodall heard these echoes not in words, but in the trembling leaves and the breath of the earth beneath her feet. This hidden dialogue, this conversation between your mind and the wild, is where true healing begins. Do you hear it? Way the forest speaks in silence, inviting you to untangle the thoughts knotted tight in your chest. What secrets would your mind confess if only it could be still enough to listen? The rustling of branches is a language older than any scripted code written in shadows and light that vibrates through every cell in your body. Jane taught us that this communion with nature isn't leisure. It is necessity. It demands surrender. To the unknown, a willingness to face the shadows within. To recognize that anxiety, fear, and chaos are but displaced cries for belonging. Can you let yourself belong to this moment, this breath, this forest? Or will you remain captive to the whirlwind of your own making, deaf to the whispers that call you home? Beneath the canopy, time fractures and reshapes itself. Minutes stretch into eternities, and the mind begins its slow unraveling from the tight coil of relentless stress. Jane's footsteps traced paths not only through tangled vines, but through the labyrinth of her own doubts, revealing a map for all who dare follow. What if the forest is the cartographer of your soul's hidden geography? Every leaf a landmark, every bird call a signpost pointing toward sanctuary. Are you ready to navigate this terrain, to lose yourself so that you might finally be found? In this sanctuary, every breath is a rebellion against the noise that once dictated your existence. You feel the pulse of ancient life vibrating beneath the soil, echoing the rhythms of your own heartbeats that long for restoration and peace. Jane's reverence for this symphony of life was born from listening deeply, without haste or expectation. What would happen if you abandoned your frantic search for control and instead let yourself be guided by the forest's quiet wisdom? Could surrender be the very act of strength you've been missing? The interplay of shadow and light here is a mirror reflecting your inner world, moments of clarity bursting through the fog of doubt. Brief illuminations that remind you of the resilience buried beneath years of neglect. Jane witnessed this resilience in the gentle chimpanzees she studied, creatures whose survival depended on patience and deep connection. What if your own mind, battered and weary, holds the same capacity to heal, to thrive, if only given the space to breathe? Will you allow this reflection to alter your view of yourself, to soften the hardness carved by pain? Every scent carried on the breeze is a thread weaving you back into the tapestry of life you once belonged to before the noise severed the connection. Jane's discoveries were not only scientific, they were acts of reuniting with the wild, acknowledging that human well-being is inseparable from the health of the earth. How often have you forgotten that your mind's healing is bound to the soil beneath your feet, the air in your lungs, the water that runs unseen beneath the trees? Can you rekindle this ancient pact, or will you let it slip further into oblivion? Your mind, like the forest, thrives in cycles: growth, decay, renewal. And Jane's journey reminds us that healing follows the same cadence. You realize that the anxiety that grips you is part of a larger rhythm, a wave to be met with compassion rather than resistance. Could the forest teach you patience? Its quiet cycles guiding you through the turbulent seasons of your psyche. What if healing is less about fixing and more about flowing with the natural ebb and tide within you? The canopy's gentle sway is a lullaby sung by unseen creatures, a reminder that you are not alone in your struggle. Jane's empathy arose from witnessing the interconnectedness of all beings, the shared vulnerability, the communal strength. Do you sense the solidarity the forest offers? The invisible web that supports you even when you feel most isolated? Could opening yourself to this connection dissolve the walls fear has built around your heart, letting light seep through the cracks? A sudden breeze stirs the leaves, scattering patterns of light and shadow across your path, a dance of uncertainty and hope. Jane understood that embracing uncertainty is part of the wild's lesson than acceptance that control is an illusion and that growth requires surrender. Will you embrace the unknown that lives within you, stepping into the forest's embrace as a refuge rather than a challenge? What truths might you uncover if you dare to walk this uncharted path with open eyes and an open heart? You close your eyes and breathe deeply, letting the forest's pulse sync with your own. In this silent communion, you find a flicker of peace, a fragile spark that promises renewal. Jane's legacy whispers through every branch and leaf, urging, you too hold fast to this moment of stillness to carry its power into the chaos that awaits outside. Will you guard this flame, nurture it, let it grow, or will you let it be extinguished by the noise once more? Asterisk the quiet revolution, healing in the heart of the wild, in the stillness of the forest. Where time seems to dissolve, the mind begins to confront what it has long avoided, the raw edges of fear, the shadows of doubt, the weight of relentless expectation. Jane Goodall knew this terrain intimately, for every step into the wild was a step into herself. The forest does not offer comfort through distraction, but demands honesty. A stripping away of pretense until only the bare truth remains. Are you ready to meet that truth? To face the parts of yourself hidden beneath layers of noise and numbness? Each breath here is a fragile promise. A whispered pact between you and the earth that healing is possible not through quick fixes, but through deep, patient listening. Jane's journey taught her that the wild is both mirror and mentor, reflecting back our wounds while guiding us toward renewal. Can you trust this process? Can you surrender to the forest's rhythm, allowing it to dismantle the barriers your mind has built? What would it mean to let go, to be vulnerable enough to receive the quiet revolution unfolding beneath the canopy? The sunlight filtering through leaves creates shifting patterns on the forest floor, fractured light illuminating the darkness, a metaphor for the duality within your own mind. Jane observed this dance endlessly, understanding that healing is a balance of shadow and light, of confrontation and acceptance. Do you sense the tension between resistance and surrender stirring within you? What might you discover if you allowed these opposing forces to coexist rather than waging war against your own complexity? The chorus of birds and insects is not mere background noise, but a symphony of life, each note a call to presence, a reminder that you are part of an intricate web far greater than yourself. Jane's profound connection with the natural world was grounded in this awareness that nothing lives in isolation. Can you feel the threads pulling you back to a collective heartbeat, a shared rhythm of existence? How might embracing this interconnectedness reshape your understanding of healing, of belonging? In the forest's embrace, the mind sheds layers of tension like autumn leaves, revealing the tender shoots of resilience beneath. Jane witnessed this resilience in the lives of chimpanzees, creatures who endured loss and hardship yet thrived through connection and adaptability. Is your mind capable of the same endurance? What hidden strengths lie dormant beneath your scars, waiting to unfurl like new growth after a storm? Can you nurture these seeds with the patience and care the forest models so effortlessly? A cool breeze stirs the branches, carrying with it the scent of earth and rain, a primal reminder of renewal and cleansing. Jane recognized that the wild's healing power is cyclical, echoing the patterns of nature itself. Your mind, too, follows cycles of breaking down and rebuilding, of falling apart and coming together again. What if you embrace this natural rhythm instead of fighting it? How would it feel to move with the currents of your inner landscape rather than against them? As you walk deeper, the forest seems to pulse with a silent intelligence, a knowing that transcends words. Jane described this presence as a communion with life itself, an intimate exchange that nourishes the soul. Can you open yourself to this presence, to the possibility that the answers you seek are not found in logic or reason, but in the quiet spaces between thoughts, in the spaces where the forest breathes. What might you hear if you truly listened? The shadows lengthen and the light softens, signaling the forest's gentle urging to return, but something within you has shifted. Jane's journeys remind us that healing is not a destination, but an unfolding path, one that we must walk again and again. Are you willing to carry this new awareness back into the noise and chaos of daily life? How will you protect the stillness you have found here when the world demands your attention? Closing your eyes, you feel the forest's heartbeat merge with your own arrhythmic pulse that speaks of endurance, hope, and transformation. Jane Goodall's legacy lives in this moment, a testament to the power of nature to heal wounds that medicine cannot touch. What will you do with this gift? Will you let it kindle a quiet revolution within, a radical reclaiming of your mind and spirit? As you step out from beneath the trees, the forest does not release you, it sends you forth as a guardian of this sacred hush. Whispers of renewal. Embracing the sacred cycle, the forest teaches us that nothing truly ends. Every fallen leaf nourishes the soil. Every dark winter promises a spring unseen. Jane Goodall's reverence for this sacred cycle reveals a truth. Our minds often resist. Healing is not a straight path, but a spiral dance of decay and rebirth. Can you feel this rhythm pulsing beneath your own scars? The tension between despair and hope, loss and growth, fear and courage. What if surrendering to this cycle was the first step toward true freedom? Freedom from the endless chase for control. As shadows lengthen and twilight descends, you realize that the healing journey is less about fixing what is broken and more about embracing the cracks as portals to transformation. Jane's stories of patience among the chimpanzees remind us that resilience is forged not in perfection but in vulnerability. How often have you hidden your wounds, fearing they make you weak? Here, in the hush of the wild, those very fractures become gateways, a sacred geometry that invites light to enter and reshape your soul. The wind carries the scent of moss and wet earth, a balm that seeps deep into memory's hidden chambers. You recall moments long buried, flashes of joy and pain intertwined like roots beneath the surface. Jane's empathy was born of such memories, of bearing witness to life's rawness without turning away. What memories stir within you now, waiting for your courage to face them? Could this act of remembrance be the key to untangling the knots of anxiety and despair? The canopy above frames the sky, a mosaic of stars beginning to appear as dusk gives way to night. Jane often spoke of the cosmos as a mirror to our inner universe, vast, mysterious, and endlessly unfolding. Do you sense the stars' quiet invitation to expand beyond the limits of your fear? To imagine a self that is both fragile and infinite, shadow and light entwined in an eternal dance. What horizons could open if you allowed yourself to dream beyond the boundaries set by pain? The forest floor littered with seeds and remnants of past seasons. Whispers of potential lying dormant in the soil of your being. Jane's work showed that growth requires darkness as much as light, that every seed must rest in shadow before bursting forth. Are you willing to sit with your darkness, to nurture the unseen life waiting beneath? What might bloom from the fertile ground of your surrender? Could this be the alchemy that turns suffering into strength? The cool night air is alive with the chorus of nocturnal life, creatures that thrive in the unseen hours. Jane's deep connection to these rhythms taught her that healing often happens in silence, away from the gaze of day. What parts of your pain have you hidden in the dark, too afraid to reveal? Could embracing these hidden facets bring you closer to wholeness? How might your own darkness be a sanctuary rather than a prison? As you walk this twilight path, the boundary between yourself and the wild blurs. You become part of a living mosaic, connected to every breath, every rustle, every heartbeat. Jane's vision was one of unity, where the divide between human and nature dissolves into shared existence. Can you surrender to this unity? What fears rise when you imagine yourself not apart but intertwined with all life? Could this be the healing your mind has sought in vain? The constellations overhead pulse with ancient wisdom, silent guides lighting the way through your inner wilderness. Jane understood that the forest holds not only life, but stories. Stories that echo through time and space, carrying lessons. For those who listen deeply, what story does your soul long to tell? What wisdom waits beneath the surface, ready to reshape your path? Will you heed the call of these silent teachers? The night deepens, but within you, a fragile hope begins to kindle, a spark ignited by the forest's embrace. By Jane's unwavering belief in the power of connection and renewal, this hope is neither naive nor fragile. It is a quiet rebellion against despair, a testament to the resilience seated deep within us all. Will you nurture this spark? Let it grow into a flame that lights your darkest hours. As you prepare to leave this sacred place, the forest's whispers linger, urging you to carry its lessons beyond these trees. Jane's footsteps guide you still, reminding you that healing is a journey without end, a continual return to the wild within and without. Are you ready to walk this path with courage, carrying the forest's heartbeat in your own? The choice is yours, to live fragmented or whole, silenced or singing with the wild. Awakening the guardian, carrying the forest within, emerging from the shadows of the wild. You find yourself transformed, no longer a distant observer, but an awakened guardian of the delicate balance between mind and earth. Jane Goodall's journey was never just about observation. It was a call to action, a summons to become stewards of the world that cradles our souls. What does it mean to carry the forest within you? To nurture its silence, its wisdom, its resilience in the face of a chaotic world. Are you ready to accept this sacred responsibility? The healing you've tasted here is not a fleeting reprieve, but a seed planted deep within, destined to grow through every choice you make. Jane showed us that every small act of care ripples outward, each mindful breath, every gentle touch on the earth, a radical gesture against the disconnection that defines modern life. How will you tend to this inner garden? Will you water it with intention, shield it from the storms of distraction, or let it wither beneath the weight of indifference? Your mind and the forest are bound by threads, invisible but unbreakable, woven from the same ancient fabric of life and renewal. Jane's stories of kinship with chimpanzees remind us that empathy is the root of healing. That connection heals wounds no medicine can reach. Can you feel these threads tightening, pulling you toward a life lived with purpose and presence? What would your days look like if you allowed this kinship to guide your every step? The world outside continues to roar with chaos and uncertainty, but within you now lies a sanctuary built from the wild's enduring spirit. Jane's quiet courage teaches us that transformation begins with one choice, one moment of surrender to the pulse of life beneath our feet. Are you willing to choose peace in the midst of turmoil? To carry the forest's heartbeat as your own, steady and true? The forest's lessons have etched themselves into your very being, lessons of patience, resilience, and profound interconnectedness. Jane's legacy is a beacon for those lost in the noise, a reminder that healing is both personal and collective. How will you shine this light into the corners of your life shadowed by fear and isolation? Will you be the spark that ignites hope in yourself and others? In carrying the forest within, you become a living testament to the power of nature to restore not only the earth, but the mind and spirit. Jane's unwavering faith in this power invites you to stand tall as a guardian of both worlds, the wild outside and the wild within. What will you defend with the fierce tenderness you have discovered? How will you embody this duality of strength and vulnerability? The journey ahead will not always be gentle. Storms will come, external and internal land. The temptation to retreat will whisper fiercely. Yet, armed with the wisdom of the forest and Jane's enduring spirit, you have the tools to face the darkest nights. Will you rise each time, resilient and rooted? What practices will anchor you when the world threatens to uproot your newfound peace? As you hold this transformation close, remember that healing is a continual dance between surrender and action, solitude and community. Jane's path was not walked alone. It was shaped by relationships between humans, animals, and the earth itself. Who will you invite into your circle to walk beside you? How will you nurture these bonds to deepen your healing and amplify your impact? The forest whispers still, a call to stewardship that echoes through your veins and every breath you take. Jane's legacy beckons you to be more than a witness, to be a guardian. It's a healer, a force of radical love for this world and yourself. Will you answer this call? Will you let your life be a declaration that healing the mind and healing the earth are one and the same? In this sacred union lies the future, a world reborn through the healing power of connection, reverence, and conscious care. Your journey is just beginning, and every step you take carries the weight and wonder of all those who came before and all who will follow. Stand firm, guardian of the wild within. Your soul and the earth await your courage. Echoes of the wild. A call to the soul as the final light fades and silence wraps around the forest like a sacred cloak. The journey you embarked upon lingers with an echo that refuses to be quieted. What you have witnessed is not mere knowledge, but a transformation of the very core of your being. Jane Goodall's whispers through the leaves have planted seeds of awakening, urging you to remember that healing is a living breath between mind and earth. Can you feel this pulse still beating, relentless and tender, calling you home? In this delicate balance of shadow and light, despair and hope, the wild invites you to dance a dance older than time itself, where every step is both surrender and power. The forest has shown you that your wounds are not weaknesses but doorways, that your scars map the path to resilience. How will you carry this truth into the noise and haste of the world? Will you protect the sacred space within where the wild still breathes? The earth and your mind are intertwined in an eternal embrace, each nourishing the other in rhythms, both fragile and fierce. Jane's legacy is a beacon illuminating this sacred reciprocity, a reminder that to heal the world, you must first heal yourself. And to heal yourself, you must honor the world. What choices will you make today to nurture this bond? What love will you offer to the earth and to your own fractured soul? The call you heard was not just a call to witness, but to become to live as a guardian of the wild within and without, carrying forward a legacy of compassion, courage, and radical care. This is no small task. It is the work of a lifetime, a pilgrimage of the heart. Will you rise to meet it? Will you let your life be a quiet rebellion against disconnection and despair? A song of hope and healing sung beneath the canopy of stars. And now, as you stand at this crossroads, hear this final invitation. Your heart be the forest's pulse. Your breath, the wind's whisper. Your spirit, the unbroken song of life. Embrace the wild within, protect the wild without, and join a movement that transcends time, space, and fear. Like Jane Goodall, be the voice that echoes through generations. If this truth stirred something deep inside, do not let it fade. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Become part of the story that heals us all. Testimonials. Testimonial 1, Maria. 34, teacher. After years struggling with anxiety and burnout, I never imagined that spending just 30 minutes a day in nature could change my life. Forest bathing taught me to slow down, breathe mindfully, and reconnect with myself. Today, I feel a deep peace I hadn't experienced in a long time, and my relationship with the world around me has transformed. It's as if the healing I was seeking had always been there, waiting to be uncovered. Testimonial to Lucas, 27, advertiser. When I started practicing sustainable self-care rituals, I thought it would be just another attempt to cope with stress. But the impact was far greater than I expected. Using natural cosmetics, Meditating outdoors and consuming consciously calmed my mind, improved my focus, and sparked a sense of belonging to life itself. I feel like I'm living more authentically, more aligned with who I truly am. Testimonial 3, Helena, 42. Entrepreneur, discovering the connection between mental health and sustainability was a turning point in my journey. Incorporating practices like minimalism and conscious consumption brought clarity and lightness to my busy mind. More than that, I feel part of something greater, a web of care that respects both me and the planet. This gives me strength to face daily challenges with more resilience and hope. I recommend this to everyone seeking real transformation. Jane Goodall proved we heal nature when we remember we are nature. Try this today. No excuses, no phone, just you and a tree. Then, share how it felt. Use #InnerGreen and let's grow this forest of calm together.